Once a month, Paula Pant, host of the Afford Anything podcast, answers voicemail questions the listeners send in. Here's one now.
Hi, Paula. My name is Lyra, and I am curious about what a good time in my financial journey would be to purchase a rental property. Currently, I make about $70,000 a year. $20,000 of that is child support that I receive from my son, who will be going off to college in about a year and a half. So that will be completely cut off at that time. So I am looking for a way, long-term and short-term, to generate some more income to supplement that. I have about $11,000 in debt, and it's interest-free debt, so I'm not too concerned about that right now. And I'm a homeowner. I purchased my home at the bottom of the market on the coast in California, so it's doubled in equity in about 5 years, and so that's really piqued my interest in real estate as an investment. And so my question is, I'm loosely following Dave Ramsey's Baby Steps program. I've already achieved baby step number 1, and I'm kind of skipping baby step 2 because, like I said, my debt is interest-free. But I'm kind of curious, should I build up 3 to 6 months worth of savings as an emergency fund, as an additional emergency fund, and then start saving towards a down payment to purchase a rental property, which would probably be in the Central Valley, where it's a lot more affordable and easier to get into the market? Or should I wait, and I know you're not Dave Ramsey, but should I wait and continue to build up my son's college savings fund, continue to build up my retirement fund? Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm not sure which direction I should head. I have about $5,000 for my son set aside, and I already know he's not going to receive any help from his father, unfortunately. And I do get, my employer contributes to my retirement. It's not significant, but they do contribute in index fund. So that is my question. I'm really curious to hear your view on that. And I love your show. Thank you so much.
So here's what's interesting to me about this question, or here's what I hear when I hear you asking this question, Lyra. Even though on the surface, your initial question was, when is it the right time to buy a rental property? The question that I really hear you asking is, how do I prioritize among various financial goals? So you have all of these different financial goals, right? You want to save an emergency fund. You want to save some money for your son's college education. You want to contribute to retirement accounts, and you want to buy a rental property. And so the question that I hear you asking is not a real estate question. It's a prioritization question. Oh, and you want to pay off debt. How could I have forgotten that one? So yes, so it's those 5 things: college, debt, emergency savings, rental property, and retirement accounts, market-based retirement accounts. You've got those 5 buckets. And the question that I hear you asking is, among those 5 buckets, how do I divide my money and time and energy and attention? Lyra, while I can't tell you what your priority should be, I'll offer a little bit of running commentary on each of those 5 buckets, which might help you form your own conclusions. So here we go. Number 1, the debt that you have, it's $11,000. It's interest-free. I don't know the details of it, and particularly I don't know the details of why it's interest-free. So that's where my first question mark is. Is it interest-free because it's on a credit card that currently has no interest, but a year from now, it's going to kick into a 17% interest rate? Is that the situation that you're in? Or is it interest-free because it's a loan from a family member? It's a loan from David. Just kidding. Because it's a loan from a family member. And if so, is it harming your relationship with that family member? You know, even though it's interest-free, does it have other non-financial costs associated with it? So those are my questions about the debt that you have. It sounds to me, not knowing any of those details, it sounds to me like this debt is not keeping you up at night. So it sounds like there aren't any big psychological or emotional ramifications for you holding on to it. And if it is truly zero interest, meaning that it's not going to kick up into something higher in the future, and if it's truly not harming a relationship that you have, then in that case, those would be reasons to not be too concerned about it for now. But again, I don't know the details. Those are just the initial thoughts that I had when I heard you describing that debt. Second, let's talk about the savings bucket. I do believe that prioritizing savings is a particularly good idea, and here's why. Number one, savings are the thing that will keep you out of future debt, out of credit card debt, in the event that something unexpected happens. Let's say your roof starts leaking and the engine on your car blows up and you get really sick and have to miss a bunch of work. And all of that happens in the same week. The fact that you have savings is the thing that will help pull you through that situation and keep you out of getting into a hole that you will then have to work even harder to dig yourself. That analogy doesn't make any sense. A hole that you dig yourself out of. Why would you dig yourself out if you were in a hole? Wouldn't you climb out of that? You hear what I'm saying. So having savings on hand it's kind of a defensive maneuver. It keeps you from getting into a worse position. And in the event that you hit some kind of unexpected friction in your life, you'll be really glad that you have that. So whether you choose the 3-month end of that 3 to 6 month spectrum or the 6-month end, that part is up to you, and that part kind of depends on what helps you sleep easier at night. But I would, at the very least, build up some emergency savings so that you can fall back on that when life happens. All right, the third bucket that we want to talk about are college savings for your son. Here's the thing that I think a lot of people don't necessarily say out loud. You don't have to contribute to your son's higher education. If you choose to, if it's a priority for you to do so, that's up to you. But your son's an adult. He's going to be 18 or over, and he has the rest of his life ahead of him. He can take out student loans. When you retire, you cannot take out a retirement loan. He has 40 years of compounding growth ahead of him. You don't. Time is not on your side in the way that it is for somebody who's 18 years old. And so if you choose to help, number one, recognize that that's a choice, and that choice comes at the expense of other choices that you could be making. And number two, decide, and this is not necessarily a question that you can answer today, decide to what extent you want to help, and also decide what that's going to come at the expense of. What other financial decisions are you going to trade off in order to contribute to your son's college savings? Again, these are not questions that I can answer for you because they're very much values and priorities that you're going to have to assess for yourself. But I certainly would encourage you to not contribute to your son's higher education at the expense of your own retirement. And when I say retirement, I'm using that term broadly. I don't necessarily mean at the expense of your 401k. I mean at the expense of the way that you will support yourself when you are in your golden years, whether that way is through 401k and HSA and other market-based accounts, or whether that's through rental properties and other forms of passive income. I'm using the term retirement broadly to refer to the support that you are going to live on when you are in your 70s and 80s. And the reason for that, again, at the risk of repeating myself, the reason that I say that is because, frankly, time is not on your side in the way that it is for him. And the greatest gift that you can give to your child is the gift of giving him the assurance of knowing that he's not going to have to take care of mom when she's in her 80s. That reassurance that he will have, when he's an adult, when he's in his 30s, and he knows that, mom's taken care of, I don't have to worry about her, I can focus on my own life, that's very valuable. And that is arguably more valuable than some low-interest student loans that he'll end up carrying. Student loans are not the end of the world. But having a parent who is unprepared for retirement, that's stressful. So that's why I would encourage you to prioritize your own retirement above and beyond paying for his education expenses. But again, these are all value judgments. You're going to have to reach your own conclusions. So we've talked about debt payoff. We've talked about savings. We've talked about college education. That leaves us with the last two buckets, which are retirement savings and real estate investing. And in the spirit in which you are approaching this, at least the way that I'm hearing it, the way that I'm hearing you phrase your question, these seem to be both pointed at the same goal. Whether you're saving for retirement in a traditional market-based account or whether you're buying a rental property, what I'm hearing you say is that both of those are pathways that you're pursuing for the purpose of having financial stability when you are in your 60s and 70s and 80s. And so to that extent, I don't think that there's a strong argument for prioritizing one account versus another, like prioritizing your 401k versus saving for a down payment. Assuming that you are getting your full employer match or your full employer benefit on the retirement accounts that you are, that you have a benefit for, assuming that you're getting that, which it sounds like you are, then beyond that point, it's just a matter of where you think you're going to get the better returns. Do you think you'll get better returns by putting money into a broad market index fund and letting it ride for the next X amount of time until you're ready to retire? Or do you think you'll get better returns by purchasing a rental property that has a great cap rate and strong cash flow? And again, at that point, it becomes a mathematical problem. Either way, the why or the purpose behind those two investments are, the same or similar. And so really, you can't go wrong either way. So I hope that answers your question. I realize this isn't a clear answer. But again, if your question is fundamentally, I've got 5 different buckets: debt, savings, college, retirement, real estate. And of these 5 buckets, how should I prioritize them? And there is no clear answer to that. That's why I have an entire podcast dedicated to, as I say in the intro, exploring that question, because it's not formulaic. There is no right answer, and a lot of it just depends on the values that you hold. There's the mathematical component to it, of course. How good is the cap rate on the rental property that you would buy? That's definitely the mathematical portion of the question. But beyond that, what's going to help you sleep easiest at night, and what is going to align your financial decisions with the vision that you have? Do you have a vision for being debt-free by a certain point in time? Do you have a vision for being prepared for retirement in such and such way? What vision do you have, and then how are you going to prioritize those 5 buckets in accordance with it? That's fundamentally the question that you have to answer for yourself. And I hope that the running commentary that I offered can help you do that. So thank you, Lyra, for asking that question, because I think it's not just an important question. It is perhaps the most important question that anybody could ever ask themselves. Best of luck with everything, Lyra.
Hey, did you enjoy this excerpt from the Afford Anything podcast? Then click to download our free ebook, Escape. You'll be taken to a page where you can enter your email for immediate access to everything you need to know about escaping the 9-to-5 grind to live life on your terms. And you can also subscribe with one simple click to get alerted when new videos are uploaded.